Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to bring up the topic freelancing versus working a 9 to 5 full-time as a graphic designer. If you're stuck deciding between these two, or you're just curious about how they compare, make sure to stick around. I've got the good, the bad, and some personal stories as well. Keep in mind that both of these come with different worries and challenges, and that's something people tend to forget to mention when they are sharing their experiences, especially when it comes to freelancing. And since we brought it up, let's go ahead and start with freelancing. So freelancing can equal freedom. You get to choose your clients. You can also set your rate and work on projects you actually care about. You won't always have to clock in at 9 a.m. or ask for vacation days. So this opens the door for you. So if you have hobbies like traveling or a family, freelancing definitely gives you that freedom of being explorative and not limit your time or cage you into a 9 to 5. Another big plus is the potential for higher earnings. As a freelancer, you're not tied to a fixed salary. And if you're good at managing your time and marketing yourself, then I feel like you'll see a lot more money compared to working a full-time position. Because you're a graphic designer, you do have a step ahead coming into social media or also connecting with others. If you truly believe in your brand and in your quality and you're already getting praises from your clients, then why would you not want to work for yourself and be your own boss? Freelancers to some graphic designers, once they're in it, I think it's really hard for some to switch to a 9 to 5. And I also feel like they're the ones that dedicated so much time and effort in the beginning to gain the experience, but also to manage their clients. And they also realize that freelancing is not something that happens overnight, but it takes a lot of experience and effort put into to stay in that position full time. You can also get into a lot of different projects with freelancing. So as a starting point, you will see that you're going to be familiar with a lot of different materials, whether it's brochures, packaging. If you're working on social media, then you are going to also work on different design posting. I feel like it's a very, very good and helpful way to build up your portfolio. Compared to when you're working a full-time at one job, you're only going to be creating marketing materials for that company. It kind of puts you in a box, but freelancing does the opposite. Whatever project you're interested in, you can accept and you can add that to your portfolio. But freelancing is not all sunshines and rainbows. You might have a flood of clients one month and then crickets for the next. I feel like this is something that a lot of freelancers have to go through, even stable freelancers. You are going to have clients that were with you for years, and then those same clients will want to cut you off at some point. Or maybe you're working with a lot of clients that are one-time based for 2 to 3 months, and then they no longer need your services. Let's say you have 5 clients and your 2 biggest clients decide to leave. You're gonna have to find other clients to fill up those spaces. And this is where contracts come into place. A lot of graphic designers have contracts set so they can know exactly when to expect the cutoff time. And some designers will work with clients over a year, some for a couple of months. So you can see there are a lot of steps that come with working freelance. Sometimes clients don't even honor those contracts, so it gets a little messy. And that's not to forget the admin work side of it as well. Invoicing, taxes, contracts, and you might lose out some of the benefits like health insurance and retirement plans. As a graphic designer that has jumped into multiple different positions, including freelance work, I do know that when I used to work freelance, I was not so focused on things like healthcare or a retirement plan compared to someone that would start off as a full-time from the beginning and had a jump start to get into those things. A personal story with me: when I was working as a freelancer, I was working with 3 different clients. I was working with realtors, an ad company, and a university. At the time, it was really great. I really liked the lack of consistent meetings and having the freedom to set up my schedule. If there were calls, it was mostly focused and set up by me when I needed some clarity. There was a lot of flexibility, but then there were also some issues. A lot of the times, clients start to feel comfortable with you and tend to prolong making payments. And this is something that kind of happened to me quite often, that I will send out invoices and wait for a couple of days, with also placing a deadline, but will not receive the payment. So if I send it to them the middle of the month, I would not hear back to them and would have to reach out again by the end of the month so to confirm if they got the email and if they could send in the payment. So during that time, while you're expecting a payment, you also have to be prepared that you will not receive a payment on time. You'll have to dig into some savings, or your Visa card, you would have to get into a little bit of debt, or you will have to basically prepare yourself that the other clients will fill in that gap until you get paid. There's a lot of approaches to this. I know some graphic designers have talked about setting up penalties, like if you're late for a payment, then there's going to be an extra charge. I personally don't like that type of relationship with my clients, but one of the best piece of advice I received regarding this matter, which completely changed how I handled the issue, was to set up a different email under a different name. Essentially, you are going to create a fictional character as your own accountant for your business. The idea was to have all invoice-related communications, including payment requests and follow-ups, come from this specific account instead of coming from me directly. This approach creates a natural separation between your creative work and the financial situation that you have to go through. It feels more formal and professional too. They are no longer going to be discussing payments and invoices with you directly. It also allows you to focus on building client relationships and working on your designs without any awkwardness or stress of chasing payments. And this can make a lot of things smoother for you as a freelancer. Alright, so now let's flip the script and talk about a 9-to-5 position. The best thing with a full-time is going to be stability. You get steady paychecks, health insurance, and usually a more structured work environment. There is also opportunity to collaborate with a team, which can be inspiring, and you learn a lot more from others. If you are a new graphic designer, this can be a really good chance for you to pick up from a senior graphic designer and learn from them. One of my favorite things is that when I was working a full-time 9-to-5, I found that you're not always handling problems by yourself. You have a team to rely on, and they have you as well. I didn't have to think so much about the finance side of it, or worried if I was going to get paid on time. I also believe that sometimes when things are slow, you are still getting paid in those times. It's very different than freelancing. If your clients don't have work, you don't have hours, so you're not making any money with them. But with a full-time, you are getting paid even in those slow months. It's not always perfect. One downside is definitely flexibility. You are tied to someone else's schedule, and sometimes you'll work on projects you're not that passionate about. There is also a cap on your earnings and how much you can get as a raise. Also, sometimes the projects can be very limited. Your portfolio won't expand as much depending what company you're working for. So if you're working with a company that is maybe a marketing agency brand company, then those you will have the opportunity to share a lot of your designs and to grow as a graphic designer. But if you are working for a company that has only a couple of items they work on every year round, then the amount of changes or creativity you can bring can be very limited. A personal story for me with one of my 9-to-5s. Sometimes when you're the only graphic designer and you just started out, they are already excited that you're on their team. So they start signing you up with a lot of different projects. And when you are done with those projects, they reward you with more projects. And that has happened to me multiple times sometimes, specifically when I just start out and I want to impress the team. So I'll be working on multiple projects, trying to reach their deadlines, and they're usually really tight. And the moment I finish those projects, they will have other things lined up for me. I will be put in a spot to try to understand if this is a temporary seasonal issue or if this is an ongoing thing that happens in this company and the graphic designers are constantly overworked. So these are my experiences. Which path is better? It really depends on your personality, your goals, and where you are in your career. If you like stability, working with a team, if you value freedom and don't mind the hustle, I do prioritize stability over freedom. I guess I think that I don't like to worry every month if these clients are still going to stay on board. I also am scared of high potential growth and having to outsource graphic design needs. The time that I was working as a freelancer, it was great, and my portfolio has definitely improved and I've gained a lot to show for myself, that now I feel a lot better working with a team as a full-time graphic designer. Hopefully this gives you somewhat of an idea and helps you to make a decision. Comment below if you have any questions regarding graphic design, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.